Hi, my name is Jason Rubo, and this is my action plan final presentation for EDU 6050. So just to give you a quick background of my school, so we are a one district school, and we are actually uh, approximately, we usually have around 400 students. We do have quite a big fluctuation of move in and move outs throughout the year. We house grades kindergarten through eighth grade, and all of our students, no matter what grade level you are in, have full access to technology, whether it is for kindergarten and first graders. Each student has their own iPads. And then second through eighth grade, every student has their own Chromebook that is assigned to them they could take with them from class to class. And we also have a computer lab as well that is PC based. So when trying to figure out what problem that I wanted to look at and focus on for my action plan, I wanted to be more general and do something that was not just for one single class or even just the grade levels I see, but something that was school wide. And the reason why I decided to do that was just because eventually I'm going to see all these students, and the whole goal of us as educators is really to not only prepare kids for the next grade level, but to prepare them for their careers and prepare them for college ultimately. And so I thought, what better way than trying to improve our scores on the PARCC test? If you're not familiar with the PARCC, it is a standardized test that is given once a year. Usually it's in April. And we have half of it is on ELA, and the other portion of it is on mathematics. And from there, we get our scores the following year. And the big thing I want to focus on is not just ELA or just math, but actually both. And that's why I decided, if you see in my PowerPoint right here, I want to improve the overall composite PARCC score as a school. Just in case, like I said, you're not familiar, it is given once a year. And with that test, it's to show their college and career readiness. Scores are not where I think they can be. I think we could be doing much better on this, and I'll show you some of the data in the next few slides. But ultimately, this test is a very rigorous test, much more difficult because it includes a lot of critical thinking that was not present on previous standardized tests we took in Illinois, which was the ISAT. But the other big portion of it is actually the tech portion, which is the fact that the entire test is done on the students' Chromebooks. And this is something that a lot of teachers have started to implement in their classes, but unfortunately not all of them have, even with our one-to-one technology ratio. So as you can see here, these are the composite scores from 2016. And there's only third through eighth grade because those are the only grade levels that take the PARCC. So kindergarten, first, and second do not. So with looking at this, the first thing that really stands out is how high the percentages are for students that do not meet, partially met, or approached. For college and career readiness, they feel that the student needs to be at the met at the very least, which is considered a 4, and then exceeding, which is considered a 5, is obviously where we'd like to have some of our students at. These are your students that when it comes to reading and math, they're the ones that always shine above the others. But when you look at these numbers, third through sixth grade had 0 kids in the exceeded category. Seventh grade had 10% of their population, and then eighth grade only had 4%. Even when we look at the METS category, the numbers are just really low. We don't have a single grade level that is at least 50% of our student body meeting or exceeding state standards, and some get as low as only 15%. That means that 85% of our students in some of these grade levels, looking at fifth grade specifically, 85% of those students are not ready for career or for college readiness right now. Obviously, there are things we can do that I feel will get them more prepared, and it's actually what I'm going to pose in my action plan. So if we look now, I went ahead and just created this chart from that data just to make it easier to see. And the one thing that makes it easy to, or something I want to point out that is really noticeable on this chart is the simple fact that we have a lot of kids in that approach category. Um, in most of our grade levels, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, um, all of those grade levels, that is our highest category, our highest percentages. Those are the kids that are almost at that college and career readiness. And in the past, this has been where my school has focused when we've analyzed park data, has just been on those ones. And I think we do need to focus on those kids a lot. Not saying we shouldn't, but the problem is those kids that are in that orange and red, and even the green and blue sometimes get left out then. And so that's what I want to really change with this action plan is taking a look at how can we go and instead of just focusing on one of those categories, focusing on all of those categories. Because ultimately, our goal as educators is to make sure that all students have the opportunity to succeed, not just focusing our curriculum on making sure that those ones that are almost at meets get over to that side. So why do we need to increase these scores? These scores look a lot worse than they are. And what I mean by that is we're really not that far below the state average. We're about 7% lower than the state average with regards to the percentage at college or career readiness, which, like I said before, is in the met and exceeded category. But the big thing that I think that really stands out to me is the fact that we have a percentage of students exceeding um, in the exceeding category is either really small, like I said, the largest being 10%, or we have a majority of them being none, meaning that we have no kids at all that are exceeding. And I just find that shocking because I feel like it's our fault. I feel like we should be pushing ourselves to make sure that we're getting every kid in every level and making sure that those ones that are up there in that higher that we're challenging them and we're making it so that we push them to get to that exceeds category from the met category. And like I said, we need to make sure that students have the best opportunities, especially with the resources we have. We are a school that has a lot of technology that other schools do not have, and I feel like it is being underutilized. So, what are my goals? My goal is to increase every grade level by 3% for next year with students above the yellow. All right, meaning that if this year our fifth graders, let's just say, or they were at 15%, uh, either at the Met or at the exceeding category. Well, for next year, when they're this year, when they're in sixth grade, I want that number to be up at least 3%. And the other thing too that I want to see in every category or every grade level is I want to see uh, something in the exceeds category. This way, we're not just focusing on those kids that are at that 1, 2, 3, but we're also focusing on those kids that have already met state standards and making sure that they don't just plateau, that they don't just flatline, and they just stay in that METS category. Because just because they are meeting standards doesn't mean that we can't encourage them and push them even harder to get them to that exceeds category or that 5. So how are we going to reach these goals? Well, first of all, you can't expect teachers to go and teach using this technology if they don't know how to use it. And I think that's the biggest issue at my school is we have all this technology, and unfortunately, not many people know how to utilize all the features. Like I said, we're a one-to-one school. We have so many Chromebooks. We have computer labs. We have iPads. And the fact of the matter is the park is taken on a computer. And so many kids now still are taking paper pencil assessments. And although we are moving towards questions like that, like we see on the park where they're more critical thinking based, I feel that we do not utilize them though, so that it is done in the same manner as they would take the park, which is using technology. What I also plan on us doing is analyzing the previous data, which is that 2016 data, to make sure that we can adapt our units to benefit all students, not just those below the MET category. So we really need to focus, like I said, not only on the usual suspects, which are obviously our kids in the categories 1, 2, and 3 because they're below grade level. But we also need to focus on those 4s and even on some of those 5s, those kids that small percentage of seventh graders in 2016, 2017 school year, and focus on those kids too, and making sure that they don't drop to the Met category and that we're adding more to their group. And like I said, and this is going to be done by differentiation for not only students below grade level, but also differentiating things at things above grade level for those ones, challenging those kids that it might be too easy, and making sure we get them to that exceeds category. The other thing that I plan on doing, which I forgot to mention before, and we see it at the top, is making sure they're trained. And how we're going to train our staff is we have Chromebooks. And because of this, we run on the Google Apps Suite. And there's so many different applications that Google gives for free that I feel like are being underutilized. When it comes to the assessments, like I spoke of before, the fact that we're giving these more rigorous assessments that are more aligned to what the kids see on the park, but it's still paper and pencil. You could easily go in and create a Google form that has these questions, has these different type of questions, these short answer, these paragraph. You can post videos and get reflections off that, just like you would see on the park. And the problem, though, is I feel like a lot of the staff just don't know how to do it. It's something that was easy for me because I'm a tech guy, but majority of the staff here is not. And so I want to provide all the opportunities I can to my staff, getting them at least Google Level 1 certified. And if I have that certification already, and it's really nice to have because it really goes over the entire Google Apps Suite. And honestly, I think that would be more than enough to get us started for this first year, is making sure that our staff is all Google Level 1 certified, giving them ample time to be trained by teachers either that already have it or even seeing about bringing others in, and making sure that everyone, including our administration, is all Level 1 certified, so everyone knows how to use these. And then also, so then teachers feel more comfortable creating these assessments that they're using for their units that are Common Core aligned, and making sure that we're really pushing the boundaries with what we can do. So that's my action plan. Those were my goals, how I talked about now how we're going to reach those goals. And I really think that this is something that is not very far-fetched. I think 3% is a very attainable goal, and it's something that I would like to see increased every year. All right, we did 3% this year. Let's shoot for a higher goal, or look and analyze. Well, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? And really break it down so that we can really see what's the best way that we can reach all the kids with all the resources we have. Thank you, and I hope you liked my action plan. And have a good day.